Hello again, everyone. I'm sitting outside enjoying the night air, and October is here, and many of us are really excited. Spooky season is upon us. So I thought I'd discuss something we don't talk about quite enough, which is things you should do and really not do this time of year if you are not experienced with certain things that may or may not happen. We see ongoing every year. There's always some group of kids, teenagers, college kids, whatever, even grown adults that are like, ooh, I heard this place is haunted. Let's go check it out. Or, ooh, let's play with the Ouija board. Or, ooh, let's do, there are tons and tons of horror movies that start out with people just seeing what happens and bad things ending up, things going crazy, getting scary and spooky, and that is for good reason. So that's kind of one of the things we're going to talk about. It's like the things you don't really need to fuck around with if you aren't experienced with these things. I've dealt with seeing and hearing things being around me since I was 3. Or at least that's as young as I can remember. My mother even saw them around before, when I was a baby. So I've dealt with these things, but it's not something that even I am going to go just play around. There's certain precautions to take, and a lot of people don't do that. So this is kind of a spiritual etiquette for the season. And one thing to really pay attention to is that despite what movies tell you, Halloween is not the only time these things are around. They're always around. You can't necessarily see them. You're not going to necessarily always get reactions. They're always around. There are some people who are a little more adept at feeling and sensing and seeing, or however their sight picks them up. That's normal. But any of them can tell you that this is a year-round thing. It's just that during this season, they're more active. During certain times, they're more active. And really, it's not just Halloween either. The dark season, the time of year when they do become more active and are around more frequently, or at least more noticeably, is from fall all the way through the winter. And you will get, into the spring when things finally start slowing down. So don't think that this one night at the end of this month is going to be the only night you'll have a chance, or 2, the only time they're going to be around if you wake up something you don't want to. They don't just walk off because, oh, well, shit, it's November 1st, time to go. No. This is not Halloween Town. The bus is not showing up to pick them up. So that's your first thing, is know that this is year-round, not just this one night a year, not just during the fall, but especially on through the spring. The dead season in nature is the dead season in spirit. Put it that way. It's not technically accurate, but that's like the best way to kind of make it stick. So that's that lesson. Okay. So I have a list of a few things. I even had my son with me kind of writing down a few like the main things that stand out each year that we need to address. He knows, he's lived around it his whole life too. It's just like his mama. And honestly, he spent his whole life around witches and psychics. So, he knows. It's just life for us. But, so, you start with the most basic. Uh, we have the Ouija board issue. Talking board, message board, whatever you call it. Now, these things, I'm a firm believer that they are simply tools, just like your tarot, just like your pendulum, just like you have a psychic come in and have them talk through them, or channel, or pick. They are no more dangerous. The difference is whether or not you do what you need to protect yourself beforehand. So if you're gonna mess with a board, put up protection. Have someone who knows what they're doing, just in case. And don't go into it thinking, oh, wouldn't it be cool if something freaky happened? Because guess what's going to happen? Your attitude and mindset going into it will help set the stage for what is going to go down. Secondly, be very specific when you ask questions. Don't just randomly ask anything that's out there to answer you. Know who you want to talk to and ask that one specific, and ask for proof, verification of some kind it is them. Because otherwise, you're just opening up and going, hey, whoever is there, good or bad, answer my questions. And one, they will come and pretend to be things they're not. That's why you verified. And have somebody who knows what they're doing. Again, just in case. Two, they can lie to you, and some of them will, just to fuck with you. Then there's also the ones, even though they're not as common as people show in the movies or in the books and scary stories we tell every year, there are those who will come in just to basically have a field day. There are those darker things. I do not use the word evil. There is no all good, all evil. I'm sorry. That is not it's not as a belief that has really been around as long as you think. Most things just tend to be darker than others. Just like we are. Some of us are assholes and some of us are not. It's just, once they're over there, they can do a little more than we can. So, if you're going to do it, be safe, put up protection, have someone who knows what they're doing, and be specific. You know, also don't do it in stupid places. Sit in your living room where you're safe and it is your home turf, where you know your layout. Don't go into an abandoned house you've never been to. Don't go in the middle of a fucking graveyard. You know, think ahead, plan ahead, just in case. So, there's that one. Now, since I mentioned the graveyard, discuss a little etiquette there. One, for many people, in their traditions, you ask permission to even enter. That's up to you. A lot of people will leave an offering of some kind, whether it be some shiny coins or food or something for whoever you're visiting, or for the keeper of the graveyard, if that is your belief. Whatever the case, if you go in there, be respectful and go for a visit. Don't go to play around. You know, there is nothing wrong with hanging out in a cemetery or visiting a cemetery. There was a tradition years ago, which I and my son still do on occasion, where you just go have a picnic with your, deceased loved ones. Sit by the grave, have a sandwich, have a little soda, maybe give them a little. That's fine. Nothing wrong with hanging out there. The problem comes when people come in disrespectful, not watching what they're doing. Watch where you step. Don't be treading all over people. There are some that are really close together and you can't help but, oh shit, I stepped on them. You know, say you're sorry, explain, and go about your business. Again, the mentality that you have beforehand is important. Because they are watching. They know if you're doing it, you know, respectfully, or if you've got the mindset of, ho, 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 let's see what happens. Oh, they'll show you something to happen. I mean, that's pretty common. If you see someone there, don't talk to them. You know, a lot of the times when there are things, like if you see something while you're there that looks like it may be a spirit or something of that nature, okay, don't go talk to it. Do like you would if you were there at a funeral. If there's a funeral happening and a burial over here while your family's over here, you're not going to go over there and just start talking to them, are you? So do that where you are. Don't go wandering around places where you don't know anybody either. You know, stay on your area. Try to stay around your own ancestors if you haven't visited graveyards frequently. While you're there, one thing I suggest that I always do, if you see trash, pick it up. You know, when we go, we will take a trash bag, just in case, because a lot of disrespectful people will throw their trash anywhere. Now, we have a habit of at least once a year, every spring, we pick a random cemetery and go just clean up. You know, pick up trash, set up any flowers that are knocked over. You do the same while you're there visiting. But again, make sure it's a visit. Don't go there to play games. Don't play hide and seek. Don't go having sex, especially not on the graves. Don't go dancing on graves. Don't go teasing or calling out anything. Be respectful. Again, not going to hurt to visit as long as you're having a respectful visit. So, moving on. There's a common thing that has become very popular, especially on TV shows and reality TV. You know, the ghost hunting shows are super popular, and there's a few things there that are pretty common that personally I have issues with. So, if you are going to go into a place to try to see if you can find any ghosts, one, if you are not experienced dealing with ghosts, don't fucking try it. That is not for you. Go with experienced people until you know what you're doing. Don't just go off on your own and think you can just do some random, you know, beginner's luck. That does not usually work out well. Secondly, a lot of times in these shows, and one in particular, I can't stand him because his ego is more dangerous than anything he's ever dealt with. Zach. Don't go in there and call something out and then get all fucking freaked out and screaming and hollering because it did what you asked it to. Stop being stupid. You asked for it, deal with it. Now, if you are going to call anything, even if you are a little more experienced, and if you are really experienced, you should already know this, but apparently the people on TV don't just come in and say, if anyone wants to speak to us, if anyone wants to do this, you know, touch me, speak through this, don't use the term anyone. Use a specific term or specific spot. Anyone in this room already? Anyone in this building already? If you just say, is there someone who wants to reach out to us? Guess what? There's a shit ton of people you don't know are listening. And some of them are not friendly, and some of them may not be people. But, having said that, the ones that are not, Actually, people are not very common. 9 times out of 10, if something is active, if it's frustrated, whatever the case, it is angry or sad or some form of emotion, something it wants. Sometimes it just wants you to go away. Whatever the case, if you ever notice, even on those stupid shows, the second they start using terms like evil and demon, suddenly things get more aggressive. No, it's not because you figured them out and they're afraid you're going to stop them. No. It's kind of like my son said when he was only like 8 years old. He said, you know, I'd get pretty mad if someone called me a demon just because I was sad too. And he's right. So, don't go in and throwing around, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, Christianized terms for every little thing that happens. Most cases, they are spirits, even if they are some entity that's not a former human. 9 times out of 10, they want you to leave them the fuck alone or help them get moved on. Whatever they want or feel, you calling them evil, demons, etc., is only going to piss them off further. And if you notice, 9 times out of 10, almost always actually, almost every one of these shows, they will get called into a house, a family having seen or heard something. Pretty minor stuff. Nothing big happening, but the second they go in and start this, oh, there's this evil here, or oh, we're going to banish them and get rid of them, and you know what happens? That's when they suddenly start getting more active. Leave them alone. You know? As far as they're concerned, you just come into their house telling them what to do. Yes, it's your house and you should be able to, you know, make that known. Let's say you live in the house and this happens. Again, this is not just Halloween. It's just, again, they're more active this time, and this is when people try to go fuck around with shit. Now, you can say this is your house or that you live here, but if they are not hurting you, they are not causing harm, let them be. Just pretend they're not there. Just well, thing fell over. Okay, we'll just pick it up. Whatever. Just don't make a big deal about it. Because sometimes they just want the attention. And sometimes, though it's not as often, but sometimes they don't even really connect that they're gone and that you're there. Or they know you're there and they don't know why. You know, they don't realize they're gone sometimes. For those, you know, they would need help crossing over maybe. That's not your job. Especially if you're not experienced with anything like that. So again, just don't mess with stuff. Don't go around, you know, calling things evil, calling them demons. Don't ask for anything evil on purpose, because that's like really dumb. And again, be specific. Don't just say, anyone want to talk? Because yeah, there's a lot that do. You know, an old friend of mine used to say, you know, be careful, especially when children are around. When you call things out, you look tasty because they see energy, right? That was her words, and honestly, she's right. Especially when children are around. They like the energy. So don't open the door for just anything or anyone. Be specific or shut your mouth. Otherwise, pay the consequences. Now, if you do go in somewhere. You shouldn't, but if you do, and creepy stuff starts happening because you're in there calling out things or playing with your boards in places you shouldn't be, yeah, you want to leave. Leave as quick as you can because you are not equipped to deal with that. At the same time, don't just leave and never address it again and never, don't just leave and not tell nobody. Don't just leave and go only tell your friends, like, oh my God, guess what happened? No, clean up your mess. You went in there, you stirred shit up. You stir the shit spot, you gotta lick the spoon, right? So, when you leave, if something like that happens, you go as soon as you are able and you find people who are experienced, paranormal researchers, priests, clergy, people who do these things often and know what they're doing. Tell them what you did. Admit everything that you did. So they can then go check it out, clean whatever they need to do to at least settle it back down. Because otherwise what you're doing is you're stirring up a whole big storm that someone else is going to walk into because you just left it. So don't do that. Do not do that. You made a mess, you started it, you finish it, you clean it up. I mean, that's common sense. We learned that in kindergarten, right? Same thing happens with these things. Okay. Now, when we talk about cleaning, cleansing the place, banishing, when you do these things, again, get someone experienced to help. If you are doing it yourself, make sure you do all the precautions. You at least get advice from people who have done it and know what they're doing, and plan how you're going to do it. On top of that, one thing, and again, going back to those TV shows that are so popular, you ever notice in almost every one of those haunting shows, the family goes in, they have someone clean the house, it calms down for a few days, maybe a week, and then suddenly, boom, it's back. How did it come back? Well, how did it leave? No one ever thinks to open the damn window. Open the windows and doors. Where do you think you're sending it to? You're trapping it right back in. Okay, it's going to run. What's it going to do? It's going to run into what? Where's it going to go? Then all of a sudden you're wondering, oh, I wonder why Grandma's mirror suddenly has a ghost in it. Well, maybe because you tried to chase it off and didn't give it a place to go. You know? Make sure you do everything necessary. Or again, have someone who knows what they're doing do it for you. There are too many shows and books and movies that tell you, like, oh yeah, we can go do this, and act like it's so simple. No, it is not. It seems simple to them who have done it for a long time. For people who have dealt with these things for a long time. It's called experience. If you do not have it, it is not going to be that simple for you. Because they know if you have it or not. They can tell. So take your precautions and get experienced help. Don't play around with shit you don't know about. And no, these books and movies and whatnot are not going to tell you a thing. Because most of them have been warped into this whole either love and light and everything, or good versus evil, or demonic and satanic, and no. You go in there and you have something. One, just because there are pinnacles or symbols on the wall does not mean it has anything to do with Satanists or devil worship or anything of that nature. Because most people use those symbols do not believe in devils. And demons, which we'll have a discussion about some other time, are not necessarily evil. They were originally, again, just like us, some good, some bad, some indifferent, some a little bit of both. So don't do it. Kind of in the same line with that, when you're calling out things, don't call nature spirits, don't call out banshees, don't call out for the fae. God, I'd rather deal with the ghosts than them. What the hell are y'all doing? Stop it. They're not pretty little Tinkerbells, okay? Cryptids. Go looking for them. Hey, no, you better know all the lore that goes with them first. Any of these things. Stop hunting for stuff you don't know about. Put it that way. It makes it easier. Now, again, back to the spirits and things of that nature. Plain and simple. Know what you're doing. If you're not experienced, don't do it. Or if you're gonna do it, have people who are experienced with you, or better yet, you be the one extra wheel on a team of experienced people. And by experience, I mean checking out to make sure that they themselves are not the kind who apply these weird techniques, like calling them evil. And, if they are doing the things that I'm talking about here, then they have a lot of experience and they made it through and all, but they're also teaching a lot of fake stuff that those crazy things wouldn't even happen if they would stop doing that. Again, these things are here year round. Always. Which brings me to the one thing that I am technically, in a way, breaking from my usual rules. Do not talk about them around them. If you don't want to deal with activity that may follow, if you don't want to deal with, how do I put it? Like me, for example. Once I know what it's there and I'm dealing with, I'm not afraid. My problem is I don't like the feeling of being afraid when it first happens. It's weird, I know. But then once I see it and know what it is and know what's there, then I'm like, okay, I got this. But I don't invite it either. So, a rule is if you are in a place, kind of like I said, when you're in a place or live in a place where they are there, don't really acknowledge what is happening if you don't have to. Let it ride. Coexist with them. If they're not causing you problems, just let it go. Don't cause them issues that will make them cause you issues, little things are not usually going to hurt you. Again, unless you go in screaming how evil they are and stir up shit. That's just the thing. You need to be careful. So with me personally, unless I am in a situation where I can actually sit and deal with it, I do not acknowledge it. Not my place. If I'm out walking around the graveyard and there they go walking around, okay, well, enjoy your visit with who you're visiting. I'm not addressing that because it's not my business. Unless they're hurting you or, just destroying things, don't do it. Just let them be. Sorry, the siren went by and I had to pause it for a moment because it was kind of loud. But anyway, don't mess with these things. That's the main point here. If you are not experienced, don't mess with things you're not experienced with. Hold on. I'm gonna wait for that. as you can see, as I said earlier, I'm doing this outside. You want to know why I'm doing it outside? Well, that rule I was just discussing about don't talk about them around them. So it is nighttime. They are, again, things are usually more active supposedly at night. I don't know, I've had more happenings in the daytime, but I live in a place that isn't exactly empty, shall we say, and I'm not going to address that in front of them, so I'm not sitting in the kitchen like I normally do for my videos. I'm not going to talk about it. That's a standing rule with me and my son. We can address things as a whole. In general, we do not address specifics or specific places because honestly, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to cause any issues. They do what they do. We do what we do. Let it ride. I'm not going to be talking about it in there. Things happen. Okay. So, that's just, again, showing how kind of seriously I take it, because I'm sitting out here to do this video instead of inside, because it's where things happen the most. So I'm not going to go in there talking about them. I'm not going to acknowledge that they're there right now. Some talking quiet too. I don't want them to. That's just how I am, because I don't want to deal with it. I have experience dealing with it, and I just don't want to. So they do their thing and I do mine. It's just better for everyone to do it that way, because again, you start trying to chase them out. If they're not hurting anybody, they're just simply existing there in what way they do, why bother? Don't mess with them. Again, that'd be like someone coming off into your house, you have a roommate, or person down the hall, and suddenly they're like, oh, you gotta get out because I don't like you here. We don't do that. We just don't. So, that is our lesson tonight. In summary, basically, if you're not experienced, don't try it. They are here year-round. That is just how it is. This time of year, they are more active. Halloween, Samhain, they are more active. Things are stronger. But if you do not have experience, what you're basically saying is, oh, let's go see what happens if we mess with this thing we've never dealt with before on the night of year, the one night that they are actually stronger than any other time. So, you don't have experience dealing with it, and then you're going to go mess with it on the one night when it can do more. Why? That's just, if teenagers in a movie would do it, don't. If drunk people in a movie would do it, don't. Well, don't mess with things. Let it be. So, that is our strange spiritual etiquette for this time of year. So have fun this spooky season, but have fun that's not going to get you in trouble. So, that's all I've got for now. Have a great night. Bye-bye.